Thank you, Caitlin. Good day, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you today. I'm Crystal McDonald, the Director of Account Management and Workforce Development here at the DCSEU. As Caitlin mentioned, we do have a pretty packed agenda today, full of information coming from not only the DCSEU, but our partners who participate in the green buildings ecosystem, if you will, here in Washington, D.C. You will hear from the Department of Energy and Environment. You will also hear from leadership here at the DCSEU. And we are also joined by the Apartment and Office Building Association of Metropolitan Washington, better known as AOPA. We have partners here from Washington Area Community Investment Fund, WACIF. And then, of course, we have DC Green Bank, the Building Innovation Hub, and then I'll circle back with the DCSEU programs and services. So again, we have a lot of information that we'd like to share, and eventually we'd like to open up for questions and answers. But with that said, let me go ahead and get out of the way for now, and welcome and invite Katie from the Department of Energy and Environment.
Before we invite Katie, actually, I'm going to step in real quick. Carlene, go to the next slide for me. Just to go through some session rules. Perfect. Just noting for you all that there will be some polls throughout today's session. As you saw, this is one. There'll only be two. I'm not going to hit you over the head with 17 polls. Just two polls, one at the beginning and one at the end. So we appreciate if you take them. The Q&A section will be open for approximately 15 minutes. That's how much time we have allotted for, and we'll try to get there very quickly. If you have a question, please do use the Q&A portion. That Q&A portion is located in the it's like the little question mark bubble. As you can see, they're using the QA section.
As I said.
And thank you again. Make sure you're also remaining on mute as you come in. Thank you. But yes, and you have the ability to voice your questions. Again, the webinar in its entirety, except for the Q&A section, will be posted on the website along with the slides for everybody to review. And we'll pause. We might pause the recording during the Q&A sections. If I don't pause it, we'll just cut it out. And if we're not able to get all the questions in the chat, we'll work to get back with you. And we can continue to the next slide, Carlene. And as Crystal was saying, she just gave you the agenda, so we're gonna keep going, and I'm gonna get out of here and let Katie welcome us in. So next slide, Carlene.
Thank you, Kaylin. Thank you, Crystal. Hi, everybody. Katie Berkfeld. I'm the Associate Director for the Building Performance Division at the Department of Energy and Environment, which is just a very fancy way of saying I oversee the team that is managing the district's Building Energy Performance Standards program, which is, I believe, the topic of discussion today. I'm really excited to see so many people here. I'm really excited to see so much interest in the program. I think many of you probably know that this is at its roots a regulatory program, but we have worked really hard over the last 5 or 6 years to really try to figure out the best way to support the building industry as we move towards a greener economy and actually start greening our buildings here in the district. You have some really fantastic experts here today that are going to help you sort of talk through some of, the logistics of the program. So I'm not going to get into the logistics of the program, but talk through some of the logistics, show you some of the support that is there available to you. And from what I understand, have some great discussion and answer some questions for you all. So I'm really excited that DCSU and the other partners on the line have put this event together. And I think it's going to highlight some of the great things that we have here for you to help support you as we're moving through this program. We are coming up on the last year in this first BEPS cycle, and we have learned a lot. I'm sure you all have learned a lot. And I just want to, reiterate that we are here to help. We are here to assist. We are here to provide you what you need in order to be successful. Because for us, this program is only successful if you all are successful. So please feel free to speak up, ask questions, and get clarity that you need. You have a lot of people on the line here that are here to help. And I'm excited to listen in and hear sort of what's going on right now and hear some of the concerns and questions that you all have. And thank you again for inviting me here to listen in.
Thank you, Katie. Kaylin, I'll go ahead and go to the next slide here. I want to say good morning, everybody. For those that don't know me, my name is Ben Burdick. I'm the interim managing director here at the DC Sustainable Energy Utility. As Katie said, we're really excited to have this roundtable. We're really excited to have folks from throughout the industry here to offer information, resources, what's going on in the market, what technical and financial resources are available to you and your building or your portfolio of buildings to just really help you understand and to support your efforts through the process of BEPS. First and foremost, thank you to all of our partners for joining us. Thank you to everybody who helped put this event together. For those that don't know the DCSEU, I hope you do. But if you don't, we've been around since 2011. We're actually celebrating this month, I believe, our 14th anniversary here operating in the district. I've been here at the DCSEU for 13 of those years, a little more than 13 of those years. But you know what we're really here to do is just make sure that we are supporting buildings like yours, residents, in reducing energy consumption, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, providing learning opportunities like this, hands-on assistance, and technical assistance, and ultimately financial incentives to help communities save energy, save money, and then ultimately help the district towards meeting its clean energy and climate goals. So again, we're really excited to have folks here today. We're really excited to have all of our partners here. I think this is going to be a really, really great session for you to hear from the market, for you to hear from some of the experts here into what's available to help you through this process. As Katie said, we're entering close to our last year here of the first cycle of BEPS. We've learned a lot from the market as well about how we can support. You're going to hear from our team here at the DCSEU, especially about some of the resources, both technical and financial assistance in nature. But without further ado, I want to hand it over and make sure that we provide plenty of time to get through this session and get through all of the great speakers here. So I'm going to turn it over and introduce Chris Penley from AOBA. I'm really excited to have you and really excited to have all these partners, and we look forward to following up after this to support you in any way we can here at the DCSEU, and I know all these other partners as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, so if we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet or re-meet a fair amount of people on the call that I've noticed. But yeah, so again, my name is Chris Penley. I am AOBA's Director of Sustainability Policy and Strategy. This is a brand new position that we have had for about 9 months. So those of you who may not be dealing with AOBA or AOBA folks quite as regularly may not know this position exists, honestly. So what I want to do today is kind of talk through like, oh, great, like what is this role? And talk a little bit about a handful of different topics. So we're going to cover some resources that we've worked on. We're going to cover a little bit on one of the major trends in the area around office conversions, and we'll talk a little bit about kind of what are our members, what are generally speaking our members thinking about in 2025. So if we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so it's what is this role, right? I've given you a title. What does that title look like? And some of this, right, is going to be the things that when you think about AOBA might fall into that role. That's really what I'm not going to talk about today, honestly. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is on the screen in the lower right, these resources. So one of the things that this position does is it has a lot of flexibility built into the position. So if we see like, hey, we have this, our members have this specific need, we can just go work on trying to fill that need, work on trying to address that gap. So things along the lines of like broader questions around getting into compliance with DC BEPS or other BEPS in the region, or things around, available resources, and that's really what we'll dive into a lot more today. So if we can go to the next slide, we can start talking about them. Yeah, so we have these new things that are called joint resources, which is a weird term, but basically the way to think about it is AOBA worked on this resource with another organization. In this case, we worked on the resources we'll talk about over the next few minutes in conjunction with the Building Innovation Hub. And this kind of the first piece that we kind of were thinking about is, what are we seeing in 2023 benchmarking data, right? When we think about trying to help our members at scale, one of the first things we need to ask ourselves is, okay, where are members operating at scale? So what I did is I went through DC's publicly available benchmarking data and pulled out offices and multifamily data. And it looks like the scales didn't translate, but at a very basic level, right, what we're seeing is buildings to the left that say don't meet BEPS threshold have an Energy Star score at or below 70. Buildings to the right that say they meet BEPS threshold, these are offices that have an Energy Star score above 71. So this is the office slide. We'll talk about multifamily here in a minute. On the office side of things, what we see is about 70% of buildings right now are off to the right. So about 70% of buildings currently have an Energy Star score that is sufficient to meet the BEPS threshold. These may be your buildings, these may not be your buildings. But at scale, that's kind of what we're seeing. The other piece, right, we see, again, sorry about the scale here, we'll get that fixed. But basically, we also don't see any office buildings with an Energy Star score below 20. So great, right? What does that mean? It means that we're seeing more buildings start to take action to get to or get to above that BEPS threshold. But what about the other 30% of office buildings that don't fall into this category? Of those, about 2/3 of them have an Energy Star score of at least 55. Why is that 55 relevant? 55 is about a 20% improvement away from meeting the BEPS threshold of 71 of Energy Star scores of 71 for offices. So in my head, one of the things I think about is, okay, if you have an Energy Star score above that, is that does something like the standard target pathway as your compliance pathway make more sense? Or if you selected the performance pathway, do you want to stay on that? So those are kind of the questions that we're planning on kind of helping members work through over the course of the next 6-7 months. Now, with that being said, right, there are about 10% of buildings that we see with an Energy Star, office buildings that we see with an Energy Star score of 65. And again, I think Mary put a link to this resource in the chat, which if you want to have it pulled up, it does have the scales on it. So if we can go to the next slide. Same chart, multifamily. And I apologize, the graph normally does have the multifamily piece on it. So again, just to briefly reorient, to the left, Energy Star scores below 66. To the right, Energy Star scores above 66. So interestingly, right, I gave you that about 70% number. It's not quite 70% for multifamily buildings, a little bit less than that, it's like 68%. But we do kind of see the same general patterns. So the other piece that I wanted to call out is we have about 25% of multifamily buildings that are within about 20% away from the BEPS. In this case, it actually goes to an Energy Star score of about 31 or 32. So we have kind of the 7% of buildings that still need to take some additional action. The other piece that I wanted to call out that I didn't really call out on the office slide, but is important in both cases, and we'll come back to it in a second. We see a lot of multifamily buildings, and we see a lot of offices with an Energy Star score above a 75. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But kind of if you wanted to dive more into what are we seeing at scale across 2023 benchmarking data, Mary has put a link to that post in the chat. But if you're like, hey, that's interesting, what are we seeing across time? If we can go to the next slide. This is actually another post, and hey, yes, these fortunately, these axes turned up, which is awesome. So what are we seeing, right? So what we did is we took a step back and went, all right, we have not just 2023 data, but we have data from 2019 on. So what are we seeing in terms of year-over-year changes in Energy Star data? And we're seeing a general increase in the Energy Star median over years, from from a little bit below, from a little bit above 70 in 2019, all the way up to actually we have medians above 75 for both offices and multifamily buildings, which as AOBA is like, hey, that's really great, right? We have really well performing building stock, and that's fantastic. The other piece that kind of comes in when you're thinking about that is, okay, if I have a building that was above the 2019 BEPS threshold, let's say I had an office building with an Energy Star score of 73, and in my 2023 data, my office building has an Energy Star score of 73. What this is telling me is that, hey, if I have that building with an office, or I have an office with an Energy Star score of 73, maybe I look at making some proactive improvements. Because if I'm looking at the median, the building energy performance standards in DC are set based on the median. So I look at that and go, okay, maybe I should start thinking about that and being a little bit proactive. And that's the graph on the left. The graph on the right is the percentage of buildings that are meeting the BEPS threshold year over year, which is not necessarily the same as percentages of buildings meeting BEPS year over year. It's just we're looking at the Energy Star threshold. But we're seeing more buildings meet it over time. And you'll also notice, those of you who can recognize what happened in 2020, yes, we did see, that's what COVID looked like in terms of multifamily and office Energy Star scores and their ability to meet the BEPS threshold. So once you take that data out, you do kind of generally see a linear improvement across time. You do see a little bit of dip in the multifamily data across between 2022 and 2023. The main reason for that, as I can tell, is there were a lot of buildings in 2022 that seem to be reporting Energy Star scores above 95, and just those buildings kind of dropped out a little bit going into 2023. So the data looks a little bit funky, but that's the underlying reason behind it, I think. So yeah, this is the second piece that is currently live today on the Building Innovation Hub. And I want to talk about we have a piece that we're going to have coming up here in a minute. If we can go to the next slide. So this is a little bit of a sneak peek of a post that we'll have going live on the Building Innovation Hub's website, hopefully in the next week or two, on Site EUI adjusted to the current year. And all this is it's explaining, hey, what is Site EUI adjusted to the current year? And what it is basically is it is the evaluation metric by so basically if your property can get an Energy Star score and you're on the performance pathway, or you're on some other pathway that results in the Site EUI reduction, you are likely actually measured against this specific metric. So I want to talk about what does that mean. If you're familiar with weather normalized data, with weather normalized Site EUI, it's similar to that, but there's a couple of different mechanics. Mechanic number one is that it also looks at your space condition data, so your space characteristics and portfolio managers. So if you have an office that may have different occupancy levels in 2023 compared to in 2019, it'll make some adjustments for that. So that's piece one. Piece two is that how this operates is this basically adjusts your 2019 data to match your 2023 or 2024 or 2025 conditions. What does that mean at scale? At scale, for a lot of multifamily buildings, there's not a huge difference between Site EUI adjusted to the current year and versus weather normalized Site EUI. But if you have an office, or you have a hotel, or maybe you have a school in your portfolio, I would recommend getting familiar with what this metric is. And this piece will also go to, okay, how do you find it? What sorts of next steps might you want to take? I'm not going to get into the mechanics of how you find this piece, but one of the things that I want to highlight is this is useful as you start thinking through, if you're in an office building, right, and you start thinking through what's happening in my building in 2026. That is actually a really worthwhile thought exercise. And actually help you with that thought exercise, if we can go to the next slide. We have a resource that's available just for members. I'll put a link to the chat, link to this in the chat afterwards. But basically, we have a lot of federal tenants here. We have a lot of federal contractors here. There have been just a few things that have happened locally over the last couple of months. And I want to we know that has an impact on energy use, right? But we also want to make sure that we're updating our space characteristics to match that accordingly. So we have a document for our members that kind of outlines, hey, here's the process by which you do so. And one of the things in that document is thinking through not just what your occupancy looks like this year, but also what it might look like next year. So that covers our resources, and I'm happy to answer questions on those in the Q&A as they pop up. But I want to pivot now to talk about, we're going to talk about actually office conversions for a couple of minutes, just because that's something that tends to come up, and we'll field some questions on it and seem particularly germane for the audience. So if we can go to the next slide. We have, I was actually able to get a hold of one of our members. This is which basically did a refurb or a office residential conversion on 20th and L. So this is actually one of the first conversions, office to residential conversion. So I'll talk about some programs that are available in DC on the next slide. These programs post-dated this conversion. So this conversion happened before those programs existed. And what I thought would be useful for this audience is kind of walk through, hey, what are we hearing from the developers and from the operators of the building? What stuff is cool? What stuff was maybe a little bit harder? So we'll kind of run through those. So what was great about this conversion is this used to be the old Peace Corps building, for those of you who've been in DC for a while. The nice part here is that they've owned the property, so there was no debt on the building. So when it was acquired, that didn't really factor into development decision. You'll also notice from the super nice screenshot on Google Earth that I grabbed here, that there's alleys on all sides. So you have light access and window access on all different sides. There's a couple of cool technical things that happened here. They actually got rid of an elevator shaft and used that for their mechanical and electrical riser, which is one of the questions I always have when you're doing a conversion. How do you do that in a way to efficiently reuse the existing infrastructure? That's how they went about doing it. And the other interesting part here on the operating side is because this is one of the few multifamily buildings kind of in this, in this immediate downtown area, they kind of have a first mover advantage. Now, with that being said, right, what other things did they find out in the process? Probably the biggest surprise is the building was built in the 1960s, and if those of you again have been around for a while, know where I'm going with this. They had to do some asbestos remediation that was above and beyond what they would have originally thought, i.e., it was actually like in the walls. So as you're converting some of these older buildings, that's something to definitely keep an eye on. There were a couple of other things that generally we chalk up to buildings built prior to the advent of like laser edge technology aren't exactly perfectly lined up sometimes. So the installation got a little bit tricky. And then like it's traffic management to some extent, like they had a long-term traffic management piece. The nice part is there's a big sidewalk on one side, but they still had to take lanes on 20th and L to get most of their work done. So if we can go to the next slide. There are a couple of different programs actually that DMPED has put out. One of them is an office to residential program. One of them is what they're calling an office to anything. Those programs are mutually exclusive, just as a heads up. Both tend to operate via tax abatements, and those tax abatements are going to be specific to the project. So you'll end up having project-specific pro formas as a result of that. As you can probably tell from the dollar values, the office to residential conversion program is a little bit further along in its pipeline than the office to anything conversion, but both programs exist. And kind of the last thing, I want to zoom out a little bit if we can go to the next slide. One of the things that our members think about a lot is our building energy performance standards, but we also have, DC is not the only building energy performance standard in the region. So this is, obviously it's a map of Maryland, DC, and Virginia. We've highlighted our member territories that actually have different building energy performance standards. So we have DC, right? But we also have Maryland up to our north in PG County. And in Montgomery County, we have both Montgomery County Building Energy Performance Standard and Maryland's Building Energy Performance Standard. Those programs are a lot earlier in their cycles, so those programs might be gearing up at the same time DC is getting to its first evaluation year. So our members are kind of having to mentally balance both of those items. So yeah, that covers all of my slides. I will pass it off to, I believe, Will is the next one up. And thank you so much. We'll be in the Q&A.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Will Mitchell. I'm the lending business manager for Wakefield, Washington Area Community Investment Fund. Just want to thank everyone for the opportunity just to share some of our resources related to sustainability. We definitely are in the market to basically service the underserved areas, specifically the entrepreneurs who are dealing with upgrading projects, updating certain projects dealing with sustainability. We have funding to accomplish that. And we look forward to just working with, those entrepreneurs or those projects that will lend itself to sustainability. Thanks. And I'll turn it over to.
Great, thank you. Hello all, my name is Gabriela Kluczynski, and I'm an investment manager at DC Green Bank. I've been with DC Green Bank for over 4 years now, so almost since the very beginning when we started, and I cover investments in all 4 of our sectors. More on that to come. I'm joined by Ronald Hobson, who has equally been with DC Green Bank for quite a few years now, and is our director of PACE Investment. Can we move to the next slide? Great, so to start, when you speak to DC Green Bank about financing, there are 2 directions we can discuss depending on your needs. If you come speak to me, I could tell you about what our direct financing options are. These are investments we support with our own capital that I'll go into in just a moment. Or you can speak to Ronald about the DC PACE program, which we are the administrators of. I'll start by introducing you to our direct financing options and some background information on DC Green Bank. Next slide, please. So the Mayor and City Council created DC Green Bank in 2018 with the District of Columbia Green Finance Authority Establishment Act, with the intention to expand renewable energy, lower energy costs, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and create green jobs. Our capital supports investments in 4 sectors: that's solar, green buildings, clean transportation, and stormwater retention or climate resiliency. All our investments encompass our 3 core values, which are inclusive prosperity, essentially ensuring we invest equitably across the district, especially focusing on underserved wards, with the goal of ensuring not all district residents are able to benefit from the growth of the clean economy. The second is clean economy, which is essentially investing in businesses that bring the benefits of clean energy to C and create quality jobs for district residents. And the third is sustainability, perhaps our most obvious one, if you couldn't tell from the name of our organization. We're here to really make homes and communities healthier and reduce our climate impact. Next slide. So since our inception, DC Green Bank has provided nearly $70+ million in direct investments and unlocked more than $740 million in additional capital for aligned community revitalization projects. All of these projects altogether have either preserved or supported the creation of 985 units of affordable housing. We estimate about 3,000 plus jobs were also created, adding 16.6 megawatt hours of annual solar energy production to the district, and around 400,000 plus gallons of annual stormwater retention. Next slide. And to break it down a little further on how we invest in these projects, the following slide helps shows the stages of investment we support. Our investments support your project anywhere from the pre-development stage to construction to permanent. Most commonly, we issue construction to permanent loans. Our average deal size is typically around 2 million, but our loan size ranges from even smaller to much larger. It is part of our goal to help accelerate investments in the district and to leverage private and public investments, hence why we typically prefer a subordinated debt structure, as you see illustrated on the left, but our role varies greatly depending on the borrower's needs. Next slide. And this isn't an exhaustive list, but some of the eligible uses from our financing include the following: anything from design, planning, energy audits, solar systems, green infrastructure, appliance upgrades, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, etc. This is more for illustrative purposes, as really the core of what we're trying to do with our investments and projects is just to invest in projects that are going above and beyond compliance and DC code, and are trying to push the standard of sustainability in the district. Next slide. And as we continue to move forward investing in a greener DC, this slide helps identify some ways we're currently considering accelerating the achievement of district priorities. We're open to opportunities that are focused on revitalizing downtown, including office to residential or office to anything conversions, as well as expanding and preserving affordable housing across the district, including providing construction permanent financing for building retrofits, preserving rental housing, and assisting projects with BEPS compliance, as well as working with DTD to extend the reach of the Housing Protection Trust Fund. In addition, we prioritize energy efficiency and water conservation measures, as well as supporting small emerging businesses by collaborating with partners to create jobs, grow the workforce, and help small businesses put down roots in the district. And an example that comes to mind is we provided a 2.6 million pre-development and site acquisition loans to support development of a net zero warehouse in a triad neighborhood in Ward 5, which will create a local commercial hub for solar contractors and developers, as well as other emerging local sustainability-focused businesses. Some more examples of our work are shown here. We invest all across the board in pre-development, construction, permanent, and projects that have supported net zero buildings, community solar, EV charging stations, workforce development programs, and so much more. We continue to look for aligned opportunities, so I'll end my portion of speaking about our direct financing options here, but please let me know if you have additional questions or potential opportunities. Feel free to come speak with me. I'll turn it over to Rob now to tell you a little bit more about PACE.
Good morning, everyone. What exactly is PACE? PACE is the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program that was established in 2013, designed to help commercial property owners to finance their green energy upgrades. PACE is actually a public-private partnership between the District of Columbia and currently 26 private capital providers who can lend anywhere from $1 million to up to $500 million. We do have an MOU with a third party that can lend money below $1 million. And PACE financing, one of the key benefits of PACE is that we can finance 100% of the green energy project costs, which includes hard and soft costs. The unique feature of PACE is that the loans are repaid through a special tax assessment through the Office of Tax and Revenues, and we can basically have terms of up to 30 years. PACE can either be financed individually or through a capital stack. In a capital stack, we're really replacing expensive mezzanine financing. Next slide. We've financed a number of types of commercial buildings that includes units of five or more. Those units consist. We finance buildings, nonprofits, for-profit entities, such as child care centers, healthcare centers, churches, hotels, our most notable project is the DC Outer Stadium, chartered schools, and we've done a number of office to multifamily conversion projects. As I indicated, it could be a standalone or through a capital stack. We have financed a project with a ground lease, as long as it's acknowledged by the government. We finance new construction or rehabs or retrofits, and there we can finance solar installations and other green ECM measures, including HVAC systems, upgrade lighting, LED lighting, and the like. One of the other benefits of PACE is that the property PACE lien stays with the property and not the owner, and it does not require a personal guarantee. Next slide. Here are some examples of some of the projects we've done. We provided a $25 million PACE loan in a $300 million capital stack with the DC Audi field. We, in 1640 Columbia Avenue, the Festival Center was a rehab project that included installing HVAC systems, lighting, LED lighting, plumbing, the light. That was the Festival Center in Ward 1. We had in 2805 Jasper Street, it was a very small developer where we provided $380,000 for that project in Ward 8. 5600 East Capitol Street, the Maya Angelou. It's a charter school that had that is housed on a government property. We basically financed that utilizing the acknowledgement of that ground lease that I discussed. And we've partnered with some of our capital providers consist of traditional banks and non-bank financial institutions. And what we've seen over the last 3 years is a tremendous interest in financing through the PACE program. We've gone from $51 million when the DC Green Bank took over the program to now $131 million in financing. 2 of our capital providers within the last 6 months have received over $1 billion each in a capital infusion. So there's plenty of money to lend, particularly as banks begin to tighten their credit. And I will leave my contact information in the chat if someone wants to reach out to us. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ronald and Gabriella, for that information. Also, thank you, Aoba and Wakeif, for your information. I know our building stakeholders really appreciate it and are keen about finding ways to pay for some of these upgrades and things that they have going on in their buildings. As Crystal stated earlier, my name is Yolanda Bonner. I am the Associate Director of Building Performance at the Building Innovation Hub. And one of my primary responsibilities or focuses here at the Hub is outreach and engagement. So with buildings that are pretty much subject to the BEPS, the Building Energy Performance Policy Standards, whether it's helping you to understand the fundamentals of the BEPS and navigating its process, or directing you to some of these resources that we have here on the call today, some of these individuals that are speaking on the call today, and or just simply listening to your feedback, be it good or bad, and taking it back to our team and creating some of these internal resources that I'm going to speak about today. And so before I move on, I always like to introduce my other colleagues here at the Building Innovation Hub. Teresa Backus, who is the Building Innovation Hub's director. I think she's on the call. She might not have been able to join. And on the call also is Mary Thomas. She is the Associate Director of the Building Innovation Hub. Next slide, please. So here at the Hub, or the Building Innovation Hub, some like to call this, we are a project of IMT. We help building industry professionals in and around the Washington, D.C. area create and operate high-performing buildings. The hub connects these professionals and provides information, such as the resources we're going to talk about today, and programming. The goal of the hub is to meet you all at currently where you are, meet your needs currently where you are, those of you that are in the building industry, and while simultaneously pushing the industry towards the innovative solutions that we all need to build and operate high-performing buildings. Next slide, please. So now that you know who we are and what we do, I'll be keying in on a few of our key resources from an extensive catalog of resources that we have here at the hub, designed to help you at what should be your current state within the Building Energy Performance Standard policy, especially those that are built representing buildings 50,000 square feet and greater. So let's talk about the resources, what they are, and where you can find them on the hub's website. Next slide, please. We typically in the past have started these roundtable conversations off introducing you to the BEPS. However, by now, most of you on this call should know or be very familiar with what the BEPS is. So instead of spending a lot of time going through it, I have included this one particular slide filled with all of the resources the hub is built out, delivered, all of these. Yes, the slides will be delivered to everyone post session. But within this particular slide, I've created or listed all of the resources that we have at the hub that will allow you to reintroduce yourself or keep yourself familiarized with the Building Energy Performance Policy. It includes an overview of the BEPS that includes FAQs. It includes an up-to-date plain speak article on the BEPS standards and its rules, and the BEPS compliance guidebook, including pathway requirements, exemptions, delays, and penalties. We also included a one-pager that you're able to download that will help you keep everything intact. And it talks about meeting the BEPS code. We also, on this page, included a link for the technical amendments to the BEPS that were actually just passed back in December of last year, pending the final legislation. And one thing I also want to note that within these particular slides from the hub, everything that you see that's bold is a hyperlink. So once you receive these slides from Kaylin, all you have to do is click them and it takes you directly to the page. We create so many resources, so we know that it can get a little overwhelming looking for those resources on the page. So we put them right here for you so you don't have to go searching too far for them. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to jump in and talk about 4 or 5 of the key resources that are designed to help you throughout your BEPS process. The first one being the retro commission and its accompanying scope of work. We all know that one of the most cost-effective ways to improve a building performance and comply with the BEPS is the retro commissioning. It's also known as existing building commissioning. It's a systematic process to evaluate and improve an existing building's energy performance by testing existing systems, identifying measures for improvement, and implementing those changes to the system, and training owners and operators on how to operate improved existing systems. So last summer, the hub created 2 specific resources to help you understand how it works, its best practices, and how it might apply to your building. For starters, the scope of work. It's designed to help you define retro commission activities and roles at your property. And in addition to that scope of work, we've created templates for you to download separately and use with your selected provider. Another resource we created last summer was the retro commissioning blog post. This blog post lets you see firsthand and digs deeper into a local entity here in the district that utilized and capitalized off the retro commissioning resources that we produced. Next slide, please. Thank you. The next key resource that I wanted to tap into or introduce you guys to, it will always be our energy audit. We always tell everyone, consider getting an energy audit. We highly recommend it. There's a link in here that will help you get a full understanding of how your building uses its energy or what type of energy efficiency measures are needed to meet the BEPS. We also discuss which type of energy audit you should seek out getting, which we consider to be the ASHRAE Level 2 energy audit. And we've also created a scope of work to help you with hiring not only your energy auditors, but additional vendors you'll need throughout this BEPS process, That scope of work can be downloaded and edited to fit all of your needs. Next slide, please. The third key resource is our Find a Vendor portal or our vendor matchmaking portal. And in my opinion, it is probably one of my favorite 3 resources here at the Hub. As a property manager by trade, finding vetted qualified vendors that understand what you need and understand what needs to be done as it relates to the rules set forth by DOEE, it's not only time saving, but it's cost effective. And this system was built based off feedback from you all in the field, simply struggling to find and hire the right vendor. So this system pretty much allows you, the building owner, building manager, or whatever role you play in managing and overseeing that building. It allows you to submit an RFP or an RFQ to the Hub's vendor notification system using our owner submission form. Once you submit that form, the Hub will then get a notification and we distribute it to our vendor list via email. Hub vendors are then asked to reach out to those parties or those buildings and their points of contacts individually for more information or get a general coordination of exactly what it is that they're looking for. And I'll stop right there to also say that we're currently working on updating the vendor portal. We will admit in the beginning it wasn't used that much, but last year in 2024, it was utilized to its full potential. We saw an increase of about 200% of this vendor portal. It is free for vendors to sign up for. So if you are a vendor, know a vendor, and you're looking to get your work out there, please sign up into the system. But as I stated, we're currently updating it to make it more user-friendly and more hands-on. I see Mary has also dropped a link for the vendor in the chat that you can take a look at as well. But take it, utilize it, and use it to its full potential. The portal also ensures that business opportunities reach a wide variety of contractors, including small minority-owned, women-owned, and disadvantaged businesses in DC, specializing in energy efficiency and building performance. Another thing I would like to highlight here is that with the improvement of the vendor matching system, we're also bringing in smaller contractors that may not have that energy efficiency and building performance experience. And I would like to say to them, do not fret, do not push it to the side, because one thing that we are doing is adding resources for you to go and get that information, like DCSEU's Train Green program that Crystal will speak more to after I'm done. So if you are a business and you feel like you don't have enough of that energy efficiency and building performance background under your belt, do not let that discourage you from signing up into the system. We have the resources to guide you and pinpoint you in the direction you need to go. And so another thing about it is if you don't have an RFP with those improvements as well, building owners would be able to literally go into the system and find specific service providers using our vendor library, which makes it easier to connect to the right experts for their needs. So as a property manager or a building owner, you're going to be able to go into the system and define exactly what it is that you need, you're looking for. And this here makes the whole process so much smoother because there are requirements, there are certifications that DOEE requires some of these vendors to have. And we've done that vetted process for you to take that burden off your shoulders. So if you know someone, a building owner, a building manager, please share that link with them. Have them utilize the system as much as possible. Next slide, please. And so one of the last key resources that I really wanted to hone in on is our Condo Co-op Toolkit. We actually presented on this last month, introduced it to a lot of you. This is probably my second favorite resource that we have here at the Hub, because again, it is designed to help guide you. We noticed that even though we are years in to this BEPS compliance process, some people still struggle to understand it. I've met people who feel like they think it's a one and done thing. I've met people who struggle with communicating to their board or their tenants or to upper management. There are cases where buildings have properties here in the district, but their main office may be in another state that does not really know about the BEPS. So this condo co-op toolkit is designed to help you navigate that process and make communicating with the other key stakeholders easier. And just a few of the tips in the condo co-op toolkit, it just really makes meeting the BEPS easier. It shows you how to approach the BEPS in a way that is not so overwhelming. The condo co-op toolkit has a checklist that will help guide you. It shows you how to create a plan for your building and where you can find, it talks about where you can find funding and financing options and what to do if something goes wrong. This one is a key piece for me because I'm still getting a lot of emails from individuals saying, hey, who do we talk to if we need more time? I don't know where to go. The condo co-op toolkit has that information and it has the direct links for that information in it, and it sends you right to DOEE. It tells you how to request that additional time. It tells you how to talk to DOEE. It tells you how to connect with them. So if you have not done so already, I would suggest you take the link, download it, and save it, bookmark it in your browser because it definitely is a key component in you being successful. And lastly, it also gives helpful language to use when hiring a contractor or consultant. We talked about that in the previous slide of how important it is to make sure you get the correct contractor or vendor. When I say it's less time consuming and cost effective, I mean it. I've seen buildings who would get a contractor who is not familiar, does not have the requirements, and have to spend double the money to go back and do this work all over again. So download that condo co-op toolkit, save it, and share it within your buildings and your offices. The condo toolkit also comes with a companion slide deck. That companion slide deck is again designed to help you. You can download it. You can edit those slides. You can take those slides and present to your board and communicate to your board on what are some next steps. What are some great ways to engage the tenants, different small incentive programs that you can incorporate into your building to kind of meet those goals and those thresholds now, as opposed to waiting for the larger projects. The slide deck contains slides such as, it talks about what is BEPS. It gives you that BEPS information. It talks about the timeline for compliance. It also talks about the benefits of utilizing and making sure that you have the proper team in place, because it takes a team to get through this process. And then it talks about all of the other additional resources that are within to help you meet the compliance deadline. So next slide, please. So we have a plethora of resources for you to access, including some case studies, and most of them led by my colleague, Mary Thomas, who you guys see in the chat, dropping some of these links, but take a full advantage of them. And there's also one thing we like to mention, I like to mention as far as upcoming events. We know that these roundtable sessions, we partner with DCSEU every year to do at least 2 of them. But there is a notice that a lot of the conversations with the roundtables are catered. They're structured, they're topic already. So one of the things that we decided to test and pilot here at the Hub is a session called Green Table Talk. It's a more informal way to talk, to vent, to get everything you want to talk about as it relates to the BEPS off your chest. And I promise you, we will not share it with DOEE. So come with everything that you feel like you need to talk about and you want to know about. This first session, we are going to cater it to the BEPS because that's what people are still struggling with and still need information on. But come with your questions. You will have the opportunity to go into a breakout session with a one-on-one expert if you don't want the general group knowing, what your struggles are. Or we can keep the conversation in the general population, have lunch, chat it out, talk it out. We will be in there listening, taking your feedback, taking them back to our teams to create the resources or to bring back the information and the answers you need to be successful. This first session, like I said, is for BEPS, but we're hoping to take it to the contractors, talk to them about how to get green contracts, even employment. We have the DC Capital Region Green career map that we're also going to talk about, how to help people get jobs, how to line people up to these green resources that we have coming out. And we also have our second roundtable session that's dated for June 26th. It will follow suit with this conversation today, but may also include more benchmarking and third-party verification results. So save those dates. I hope that you guys join us again. Next slide, please. And on this slide, bookmark these links, save them. If you have any questions for us, follow us on LinkedIn, sign up for our newsletter, reach out to us. We're here to help. Last slide. And thank you to our additional partners who help us make these resources available to you for free. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any time. And with that, I will turn it over to Crystal.
Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you to all of our partners who have joined us today. All the information has been extremely helpful. I thank you guys for sticking with us. And so now I will cap it off with our DCSEU programs and services. And yes, there we go. So moving right along with our business rebates and custom incentives, I just want to mention that everything that I discussed today it is on our website on the landing page titled Property Managers, Owners, and Developers. So you will see the full list of services that we offer on that page. So just to begin, we do offer standard rebates, which is a more prescriptive approach. For prescriptive measures, you see standard rebates for lighting, motors, HVAC, refrigeration, and food service and vending, and electric lawn care. We also have other instant rebates in the lighting and HVAC category. For those that projects that are more comprehensive, including new construction, we have what we refer to as a custom incentive program, and that's where you'll be assigned an account manager and an engineer from from our engineering team to help you through the process. This is where you would get a customized analysis to determine the estimated energy savings and then of course an incentive based on the estimated energy savings per the measures that we're looking to install. Next slide. In addition to our rebates and incentives, we do offer non-technical support, and that includes the value add benefits for our commercial customers. And in terms of identifying opportunities, you know, we're like a third party, unbiased opinion. So if you have any project specifications, you know, we have engineers on board to help you navigate and give you kind of a third party perspective if asked. And this is not to replace your consultants, but it just helps you understand any issues that may be highly technical or complex for you. And then again, you know, we continue to offer these peer-to-peer platforms so we can exchange questions and learn from one another. And then in terms of finding solutions, you know, we do project planning and helping to prioritize any measures that you're looking to install. And then with our project analysis, we do a cash flow and ROI analysis that would be included in your incentive agreement with us. And then for calculating impact, it is important to demonstrate the value to your decision makers as well as your key stakeholders. And the one that I'd like to specify is our marketing team. We have a wonderful marketing team that will help you with getting your accomplishments out in the public. So, you know, we can do share guidance on our public relations as well as marketing opportunities to share success stories. I'm really excited that we're able to offer our audit incentive again for this year. It's all about BEPS support. And so we do offer an incentive up to $15,000 based on your BEPS status. And so the benefits that, again, the benefits of energy audits that Yolanda mentioned, you know, we have a list here in case you need to help make a decision or convince someone to support your energy audit. We have analyze your building systems, identifying cost and practicality for multiple measures, determine and we will help you determine the eligibility for rebates based on the measures that have been prioritized or listed in your energy audit. And of course, we will incentivize the measures that you decide to install. Next slide. Just to give you a further breakdown of the amount of the energy audit incentive and how we calculate it, you have you get a higher rate for buildings that do not meet BEPS, but we still want to support those buildings that do meet BEPS. And so we have the criteria listed here. And all of this information will be available with your slide deck. There is an incentive agreement assigned with our customers regarding the incentive, but we also have a participation agreement for the auditors that you decide to work with. We are asking for an ASHRAE Level 2 audit series, but we also have other criteria that needs to be met with the auditor. And so you see the list of credentials that are required for energy auditing as well as energy benchmarking. All of that is here, and contact us if you're working with an auditor and that auditor is interested in reviewing and executing a participation agreement with the DCSEU. Pay for performance. This is another one of our custom offers. This is a savings analysis tool. When we do pay for performance, we use a savings analysis tool within our DCSEU custom program. And this is where we will baseline your building energy use. And we look at your building energy use before you begin to install measures. And then after the performance period, after the performance period and after equipment has been installed, we'll go back to look at your energy use post installation. And then there's a regression analysis completed as well to determine your energy savings. And so you will get a pretty significant rebate for this process as well. And so we will look at your annual energy project savings. We do ask for meter data, and so we can help you with signing off and facilitating that process with PEPCO or Washington Gas on your behalf. And then we also will participate with other, you can also participate and receive the benefits of other DCSEU offers, even though you're still receiving an incentive for the pay for performance program. So this is a longer and involved process. It will be at minimum a 9-month period. It may be longer depending on the analysis that needs to be determined. But this is a longer term engagement, and we will work with you to achieve that and receive broader, more comprehensive incentive. While I did list, I just listed the benefits of P4P, but again, we recapture why P4P. The incentives are for continuous energy improvement. They encourage creative solutions beyond our traditional projects, and they align with a BEPS compliance actions. And so again, the measures they're more comprehensive. They capture controls, building envelope measures. Building envelope measures are a category that we don't offer incentives on prescriptively, but comprehensively it will matter. And then we also looking at retrofit recommissioning as well. Little tongue twister there. We do catalog affordable multifamily in our commercial kind of category, commercial-based category. Anything that's not single-family homes, we catalog as a commercial building. We have several offerings in the affordable housing space. You will see low-income comprehensive. We pretty much follow the traditional custom space, but the low-income affordable housing buildings, they do qualify for a higher incentive level. We have the Income Qualified Efficiency Fund, the Affordable Housing Retrofit Accelerator. A lot of us refer to that one as ERA. We have Affordable Multifamily Electric Program. And then we also offer low income energy kits. you'll see kind of a program flow for each of these affordable housing offerings. And if you just kind of look horizontally, we look at the access and application process. We look at the contractual relationships for the contractors performing the work. And then we look at the amount of funds available to support that program. And typically where the incentives or the funds are more, are higher, DCSEU is more involved in that contractual relationship to get the work done. Okay, and then the last column includes our low income energy kits. And so for all of our income qualifying programs, they are they are eligible to receive energy kits as well. And then finally, we have our workforce development program at the DCSEU. I refer to these as capacity building programs. The first one is our workforce development program where we recruit and place externs with our mentors who partner with us on with on-the-job training as well as hiring at the end of their 3 to 5 month period. And that is a program that really allows for a gateway to green careers for our unemployed and underemployed district residents. It's highly successful, and we place over 85% of our participants at the end of each cohort. And so we continue to look for and recruit mentors who are willing to take on our DC residents, train them, and eventually hire them in a green career. During that process, we also offer professional development for our externs on a weekly basis. So lots of support and lots of success that has been life transformative to our participants. And then finally, on Train Green, this is our program where we focus on training our contractors, helping them with the credentialing and certifications that are necessary to do the green work that our policies and standards call for. So Train Green is very active. We do have courses that are on demand. We have some live virtual courses, and we also do in-person courses. And if you miss a course, some of them we are posting on our YouTube channel. We do have quite a bit from the past few years that we've been running Train Green. We do have some recorded sessions. So that, and I think going to those recorded sessions is a really good way to get started on the introductory courses and some of the basic courses that we offer through Train Green. And we do offer educational pathways. You're not restricted to one pathway. You can go across multiple pathways. We include energy efficiency, building operations and maintenance, renewable energy. We have a sustainability and health, and I think solar. Then our newest pathway is around design and construction. So lots of good support for that program. I encourage you and your staff to take advantage of Train Green. And next slide, please. Okay, this is a really big question. If you don't know where to start, by all means, start with our team. We do have, you can schedule some time with one of our account managers who will help you navigate through the process associated with all of the programs and services here at the DCSEU. Again, thank you so much. And I think we have some time for Q&A. Yes, I just want to say thank you to everyone again for joining us today. I would say your next step, if you don't have an account manager already, please reach out to us, because the account manager is your gatekeeper and will help you navigate through the other programs and get to the right person to respond to your questions and inquiries. So definitely use I believe you had a QR code at the end, Kayla. Definitely use that to reach out to us. Or you can just visit our website